Welcome everyone to yet another stream. Just give me 1 second while I push out the link. Is there a way to find out the link of my stream on here? Apparently not. So I need to go to YouTube and find it. Cool. Let's find the link. All right, the link has been posted. Thank you for your patience. I know the starting few minutes of all of my live streams are just me pushing the fact that I'm live on my Instagram. And that's mainly because I don't have that many subscribers on my YouTube yet. I have a lot more followers on my Instagram. So the hope is that slowly, eventually, I will be also able to increase my YouTube your follower account, or at least everybody who follows me on Instagram can also start following me on YouTube. So if you're watching this video and you aren't yet subscribed, please subscribe. Please take a minute, go down, click the subscribe button, and that will be very very helpful. But thank you to everyone who's out here today. Appreciate all of you for being here. It's yet another Sunday. I'm in Rotterdam. It's a little cold, though the weather is improved. There's a lot more sun starting to show up. It's still a little cold. So I was thinking of doing this in a t-shirt, but then started feeling cold. So I have my shawl on. This is one of my favorite shawls, by the way. It was originally my mom's, but I have stolen it from her. So yeah, so now it's my shawl, and it's really sort of it's a cozy shawl. So I really like to have this on when I'm mostly working from home. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit of a shawl introduction for you. So what are we gonna do today? Today, I actually want to start the process of creating NFTs or creating art. So that's what I really want to get into, because we have done episodes before where we were sort of understanding what NFTs are, looking at some NFT projects, trying to know what's what. We also sort of went through the process of purchasing an NFT, where I purchased an NFT which basically offers me access to a club. So that has been going pretty well. I've been part of a Discord, tech club called ANTI, and it's been fascinating just interacting with people on their understanding exactly what everyone's different takes on NFT is. So that's what I want to now start doing. Now that I think I have a bit more better understanding of NFTs and probably digital art, as a result of that, I want to start taking a crack at building my own NFTs. Of course, no project is like no art, no work could be good from the get go. But I feel that you should always start by doing. That sort of has been the way I've approached most things in life. Is like having a strong bias for action. So we do things, and we see how they go. So I don't expect to create magnificent art on my first try. I just want to enjoy the process itself of building something from scratch and then seeing where that can take us, right? So that's going to be the goal of today. I'm going to put my effort into building an NFT, and I'm going to do my best to like walk you through the process as well of creating NFTs, as to what my thought process is, how am I approaching this, what am I thinking every step of the way. So that's basically what we're gonna do today. I do have a hard stop after an hour. I'm expecting some friends over, so I will stop. But yeah, I also don't expect to finish this in one sitting. So this will be the start of us trying to build NFTs, and over the period of next few days, we will hopefully be able to build it. All right. With that said, let's jump into it. So I'm going to be using two tools to do that. One is Notion, other is Figma. You are probably aware of what Figma is, but you're definitely aware of what a Notion is if you've been following my channel for a while. But you probably are now aware of what Figma is. So Figma is basically a design tool. It is something that was originally meant for digital art, but then it has slowly evolved. Sorry. So it was originally invented for building UI and your UX elements. It was very similar to Sketch, which was the earliest software. Then like Figma popped up on the scene as this online version of Sketch, where you can do all of these things in the cloud without having to do all the heavy lifting done by your laptop. You can do your collaborations, you can work async. So Figma is now like the leading UI UX building software that's out there. But also it's a very nice software to create art, right? So I think that's the nice thing about it, is you can also create art. So we use this a lot for Envision. So for our company, we do very highly depend on Figma. We are building very elaborate design systems on how every part of UI and UX has to operate and has to function. And even though we started out as a very simple app, Envision has evolved into a more complex application now, which is on all kinds of different phones, all kinds of different computers, all kinds of smart glasses, and all of these have to have different UI elements. And Figma is sort of now the place where we go to do all the design stuff that is related to it. But in Figma, you can also do fun things. So let me show you what do I mean by fun things. So let me share my screen before I do that. Cool. So this is something I was trying. So the other day I was listening to a podcast episode of Balaji S. So Balaji Srinivasan is sort of this influencer person in the field of crypto, and he was doing an interview with this Indian YouTube folks called Super Team, which is a Web3 DAO, and he said something along the lines of this is what he said. He said, so basically he was explaining what programming is, right? So he was saying that what is like programming according to him, or what is like coding, and he had this really nice quote where he said, so programming is creating a pleasing a configuration of oh, this should be electrons. Why did I say, why is it electrons? Creating a pleasing configuration of electrons, an ice sculpture of ones and zeros. So basically that was his quote. He said, yeah, like programming is creating a pleasing configuration of electrons, and ice sculpture of ones and zeros is what programming is. So this is sort of my interpretation of how that is represented visually. So you have like ones and zeros, which are the binary codes, and then I made a snowflake out of it to represent an ice sculpture that you can just sort of everybody gets the same ones and zeros, but people who are able to sort of figure out how to put them in the right configuration are able to build great software out of it. So that was my thing. Of course, it's very heavily inspired by Jack Butcher, who is a graphic artist who does a lot of similar arts where he does very minimal stuff. We have spoken about his artwork in the other episode we did about NFTs. So yeah, this is sort of inspired by him. So it's something I built in Figma. But what we're going to do today is we're going to start from a fresh Figma screen, right? So there's nothing in here. So I'm going to name this Karthik's NFTs, right? And we'll make different pages. I'll make one page just for brain dump, right? This is where we just are gonna be sort of dumping ideas, and then as and when the idea starts taking place, we will go about it. So I've thought a bit about what kind of NFTs and art I want to get into, or I want to experiment you're making, and there are two kinds of NFTs that are very interesting, right? So I've been looking at a bunch of different digital arts, and I've been sort of understanding which ones are appealing to me, and then once I go from which ones are appealing to me, I sort of do my best to understand like what is it in that art that is appealing to me. So I found that I'm attracted to two kinds of NFTs. One is what they call a PFP NFTs. Let me just also open my Notion so I can make notes, and you guys can see what notes I'm making. I haven't uploaded it in a while because I've been doing non-Notion based streams for a while. Let's create NFTs. All right. Open as a page. What kind of, so I'm going to use NFTs and digital arts as very interchangeable terms, just FYI, right? So when I say NFTs, I do mean digital art are appealing to me. And so basically the first one that's appealing to me is what they call PPFPs, right? Or profile picture, basically. Yeah, I don't know why does a profile picture abbreviate to PFP, but it does. So we'll stick with that. I'm gonna turn this into a heading 2, and this will be my heading 3. Yeah, so let me show you some examples of what I mean by profile picture arts. Track of fresh PFP NFT. A beginner's guide to understanding PFP NFTs. Oh, nice. All right, I do want to read that. I didn't intend to read it, but I'm gonna read it. A beginner's guide to understanding PFP NFTs. Or should I first go through the what and then go into this when we are exploring what is it that we want to create? So a PFP NFT is basically a profile picture NFT, right? So basically NFTs that you can use as a profile picture. So the Bored Ape sort of like yacht club, that's a profile picture, your NFT. These guys, you see the CryptoPunks, all of these things, they are a profile picture NFTs. So basically anything that has something that you can use as a profile picture, that's like the simplest way to explain it. Something that will be a PFP NFT, right? And that has a lot of value because that's sort of the shortest way to show it off. So if you might remember, this is the Jay-Z NFT. So all of these CryptoPunks were were PFP NFTs, which are sort of a subgenre or a subclass of NFTs. You should get a PFP NFT. Let's see why you should get a PFP NFT. What does he have to say? No, that was not the right link. Cool. I'm just gonna put those links in here. Put those images in there. So that you know what we're talking about when we say PFP NFTs, right? So that's one very very interesting thing I like. Obviously for obvious reasons, and I think within PFP and PFP NFTs also I like how you can just set some attributes and how things can come out of those attributes, right? For example, when we saw how a CryptoPunk is made, so they have some attributes that are fixed, right? So this is sort of what the face will look like. These are the different, so, and you can only change like 6 things. You can, you can pick different kinds of hair, different kinds of, like beard. You can pick different kinds of, like shirt that they have on. So you can say there are X amount of variables that you can put in it, and then you sort of allow there to be a permutation and combination of those different elements be there in a place, right? So that's basically what I like about PFP and PFP NFTs. To give you a really good example, I recently came across this thing called self-made punks, right? Which is basically this dude who has made a CryptoPunk that you can make by yourself. And here is sort of where you see what are the basic elements that go into like making a profile picture NFT, right? So you get to choose from 4 different face types. You can be a human, you can be an ape, you can be this is not a zombie. This is, one of them is a zombie and one of them is something else. Oh yeah, you can be a zombie. So this is a zombie, or you can be an alien, right? So you have these 4 structures. You can be a male or a female. You can pick a skin color that you have an option for. You can pick your nose color, what kind of nose you want to have, and then you can pick eyes. You can pick shades. You can, so all of these things sort of add to like your sort of like formation of your NFT. Right, so everything can give you a different thing. So you keep going through this, and then you can keep picking stuff that you want to have. And what happens as a result of this is that you end up with an NFT, something that you can use then afterwards as a profile picture of yours, right? So that's basically the process. You do all of this and you end up with something that you can put up as a profile picture. So I like this aspect that you don't have to design the whole thing. So you just design the like the components, and then a permutation and combination of those components can give you a large number of unique profile pictures. And they have a very interesting, like a characteristic to it, something like like a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk. They have very different art style, so that is the common, like a thread amongst all of them. And then you do all of these things to add to it. So that's something that really fascinates me, because that's, I think, the one element of NFTs that can be very personal, that you can sort of personalize like a PFP NFTs, because you're basically saying is that this NFT, this art, is a representation of myself, right? You're saying that this piece of image that you see is how I want people to perceive me. So whenever you see somebody with a Bored Ape and they're like, hey, this Bored Ape represents me the best, what they're saying is that this is sort of how I feel. This is a representation of my characteristic. And I find that very, very interesting and very intriguing, that you can actually have these different images that sort of express who you are in a better way than just a headshot of you can. So that's for me very, very fascinating. The other kind of digital art that's for me very fascinating is, I'm totally blanking out on what it was called. It was called generative art, I think, if I'm not wrong. Generative art. I think it's called generative art. Let me just Google it and see if that's what it means. Generative art. Put very simply, generative art is a form of digital art that's generated randomly, whether that's by using autonomous machine algorithms. Yeah, so this is basically what I mean. A generative art is, a generative art. So basically, you're not building everything yourself. You're building the algorithm for the art to be created, and then you're allowing art to create itself, right? You are being the trigger for the creation of the art, but then the art gets created by itself. And that's, like, for me, very, very fascinating, this whole field of generative art, because you get this. So basically, why it's interesting in the digital medium, because generative art is not new, right? I think generative art has existed. Like, I'm pretty sure you are aware of people who just put paint in a bucket, and they make a hole below it, and they just throw it around, and then it just makes a pattern on the canvas that's on the floor, right? That is a generative art. Like a lot of Jackson sort of like Pollock's work are very generative art, because he's not totally in control or intending to build what he's building, but he's giving it the right amount of triggers to build the art that comes out of it. And to lose the control over the creation of this art, and then ending up with something beautiful at the end of it, that still holds your meaning to you, that for me is very, very fascinating as a concept, because then this art has the ability to surprise you, right? This art has the ability to give you something that you didn't expect, even though there are going to be elements of that you would recognize. So for me, that's very fascinating. So when people talk of generative art, you sort of usually see stuff like this. I want to read this article. So this is like a very, very popular generative art project that came about. So I do want to read a bit about that one before we make our own. There's one generative art project that I really, really like. So this is something I do want to dig into a bit more. And I think this is something that I am least confident about, because I have no idea how do you go about building this. With PFPs, I have some idea as to what I would need to do, but with this, I'm a bit more of out of depth, and that's why I like it. I really want to understand how I can build really good generative pieces of art. There was one generative art which was really, really fascinating by a couple of people who I really, really like, where they were just making album covers, mm, which was fascinating. I don't know what it's called. Let me see if I can find it. Album covers, AI, NFT. So basically, they were giving these names of. So they were basically using a image generation thing to generate art. How do I look for it? What is it called? Something music, something. AI generated album covers, music, NFT. Who was it by? It had a very distinct style to it. So I know that I would recognize it as soon as I see it. It was, I think it was started by this guy called Suhail. Uh, yeah, maybe this one. Yes, perfect. I found it. This is the one. It's called Tunes Project. Yeah. Uh, um, Tunes are imaginative song titles generated by AI. Audio cover, artist name, and other functionalities are intentionally omitted for others to interpret and create. Feel free to use a tune in any way you want to. So basically, yeah, they were automatically generating AI names for songs, and then what the album cover would look like. Um, they still meant on anymore, so they were all sold out. They just had 5,000 of them. How much did it cost? It was free. They only had to pay for gas. That was fun. We created derivative to create and sell songs on top of tunes. There are 5,000 tunes in total. How do I generate? Go into cover art. Follow URL. This project. Yeah, they have a Discord songs. Yeah, let me see some of them on OpenSea. I'll show you what I mean. It was very, very fascinating. Some of them I'm like, damn, this is really good. But right now it's not. It's actually going for pretty less actually. So of course, not a lot of people think it's nice or it's worth it because you can see the prices on these are not a lot. But I don't know why are they empty. Why don't they have covers? Oh, was it that? Is it that not all of them have covers and you have to do something to generate the covers for them? Because don't see any of the covers. That was the whole fascinating thing about me. Let me see. High to low. Why don't I see the covers on them? I just see this. Is it a Safari thing that it's not loading the covers for me? No, it's also not loading on Chrome. Very strange. I really like this project and I've talked big game about it and now I don't see it anymore. I wonder why. What happened? What happened to your tunes project? Why can't I see the? So basically what used to happen is that, so of course there will be a song it will generate, but it will also have a AI generated album cover, which was really really good, right? So let me show you. For example, this one, it says it's just one drink. So basically they will, like, feed the song name to the AI, and the AI will come up with an album cover for it. This is amazing, and this is sort of what I liked about it, is that you can generate a song name, and then you can also generate an album cover. But now that I read it, it says that, so the project was only to generate the song name, and someone built a bot and installed it in Project Discord. There's an entire channel of people submitting the song title. Oh, so some you can, okay. So the bot will only make the song, and then you can generate the album cover through a bot that they built. I would really want to know what that bot is. I'm gonna see if I can join their Discord, and yeah, I really want, because I really like this kind of stuff where you just feed something, and then you can actually get art created out of it. So what I'm gonna probably do is just buy one of these, and then join the Discord, and then what's lowest? Then and then I figure out how to do it. So this acting like you know me is the cheapest one. I think I'm gonna do that. An X-ray of 100 cigarettes. Suhail and Eric once made a thing. Can't stop the dogs. Cool. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna. It says there's 2,000. Yeah, because there were 5,000. Yeah, I'm gonna see if it's possible to join the Discord just without anything. Are they gonna ask me to add my wallet? Yeah, maybe I should do this later, not now. Focus on the art now. Yeah, I'm gonna do this later. Let me focus on, but you know what I mean, right? This is the kind of art I'm talking about. Let's go through this article. Tyler Hobbs. Oh man, my art blocker is disabled, dude. Fidenza NFT. Oh, sorry, my art blocker is not disabled. I disabled it. Come on. What? Chromie squiggles. Damn, so this one sold for 1,000 ETH, 3.3 million. That's crazy. I have a pleasure of being. Oh, see, this is like so trippy. So this is also a generative art. This is a really nice one. This is fascinating. So see, that's my thing. So I want to be able to build art like this. Let's see the Fidenza art. I want to see what was their Fidenza NFT. Tyler Hobbs. Fidenza is the most versatile generative algorithm to date. Although it's not very complex, the core structures of the algorithms are highly flexible, all allowing for enough variety. The main benefit. Interesting. Super fascinating, right? So this is where I like where technology meets art. Like that's basically what you see through his. Of course, skimmed through it. I will go back and you'll like read it more. But what I understand from it is, so he wrote this code on how to generate flow fields, right? That's what he calls them. So it's flow fields where you can actually build sort of different types of like curves, right? It's an algorithm that will produce for you curves depending on the variables that you give it. So if you give some variables, it'll make different kinds of curves using those variables for flowing. So he built that. So that's something that he's been working on like for like a long time, and he was doing this way before NFTs became cool. And then when NFTs were a thing, he sort of used that to use the same flow field algorithm to build this, where he will first build the flow field, then he will make these rectangular chunky blocks in it. Instead of thin curves, I use thick curved rectangles, and then he will add the colors. Firenze uses probabilistic color palettes. These are a set of colors that are selected by hand to work well together. Each color in palette is assigned a probability. So, for example, you can say about 50% of the shapes will be blue, 25%. Nice. Small, very rare, medium. So this is a rare one, then they become increasing rarity. Fascinating. This is something I really like, right? So he wrote a bunch of codes and then he made this art with it. Right? So this looks fascinating to me. So I'm gonna add this also to the Notion page. Cool. So I hope you sort of get understanding of what I mean by generative art, right? So these are the two kinds of NFTs that I want to experiment with making, creating, and we'll start with one at a time, and then we'll see how it goes. So first thing that I would essentially like to do is more, like research, of course. So now I have some good research resources already. So I want to research these art projects first to see how they did it, how they came up with it. Of course, CryptoPunks I have already studied a bit, and Bored Ape, but I do also want to explore some of the other ones to see how they approach it. But of course, I don't want to read too much also, because I don't want it to very heavily influence my kind of art. So I do just want to understand the basics of how these people did it, and then use my own sources of inspiration and motivation to build art that is unique to me, right? So that's basically what I want to do. I do want to take a look at what's going on, but not too much, because I don't really want to be another like PFP NFT or another generative art NFT. I want it to be something
that I would really enjoy, like to make, and I can put more of your meaning that I like, and I want to attribute to it behind it.
So let's break that up. We're gonna call this rough brainstorm, and then I'm gonna dedicate one page to the PFP, and then I'm gonna dedicate one page to generative, right? Um, let's just start drawing some things, right? So I'm gonna go with a thousand grid. So this is where I wanna start with. So for profile pictures, I see a square grid is where I wanna start with, and then what are the different elements that go into making a profile picture, right? So you have the face. Okay. You have. I'm just gonna use standard polygons for everything for now. You have the face. You have the hair. Um, you have the body. Of course, there's the neck, but I'm not sure if I would really want to make neck a big feature. So I'm thinking how many variations I actually want to go with. Like how many do I want to make, right? Because that will determine how many attributes I put in. So I want to start off very, very simple. Okay, let's do some mathematics, right? Let's say I want five attributes, and each attribute will have five variations. So you can pick five variations of each attribute. So if one attribute is hair, you can pick from five kinds of hair. Now, if I do that, how many unique profile PF NFTs will I get from different combinations of it? Probability, eighth grade probability, mathematics. So that will just be, if I'm not wrong, it'll be 5 into 5 into 5 into 5, because every thing will have the probability of five things in it. Right? So So it'll be 5 into 5 into 5 into 5. So it'll be 5 times 5. So it'll basically be 5 times 5. Right? Is that 3125? 3.125? Huh? It's very weird. Calculator. So what I'm saying is it'll be 5. How do you do times? How do I give me scientific calculator? 5 times 5. It is 3.25. Damn, that doesn't add up, right? So I'll get 3125 of these dudes. But it makes sense, right? So I have 5. Let's see. So the first attribute is face. There can be any of the 5. Second attribute, hair. I think I'm doing it right, dude. It's 5 and 5. So I'm making 3,000 of these. It's insane. And if I then I'm doing, if I make 10 variations of each, that'll be 10 raised to power 5. That'll be 100,000 of these. Oh. But that's so weird. So how many CryptoPunks were there when they made it? 1,000 CryptoPunks. 10,000 of them is what they made. I want to go to the attributes page. Okay, so they went with a different approach actually. So they made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They made 5 base types, punk types, and then these attributes are added to them at random. Gotcha. Yeah, because I thought I'll just make like 100 of something. So yeah, so with very few options itself, you can make a lot of variations. So should I just decrease them of variations or no? I don't want to decrease any of them. 5 variation, 5 attributes seems like already quite minimal. But yeah, I see it's could be a lot. But yeah, let's go with this. 5 attributes, 5 variations. We'll keep it simple. Is what you can make. Cool. So each NFT will be a unique NFT that way. Yeah. So see that there are two ways to making NFTs, right? One is that every NFT is there's just show one of its kind, it's unique. Or the other way to make it is you make something and then you can either say it's one of its kind, or you can be like, I'll only sell 100 of these. So you can just sell the same thing many times. So I think with these, I want to go with unique aspects. With the generative art one, I can think more differently. So I just need to think what those 5 attributes are gonna be, right? So I have 3 now. So the body, face, and head. What else defines? What are the other defining features? Let me just focus on the face. I'll say eyes. Eyes are pretty important. Then comes nose. And then there is the case of the mouth. That is 6 attributes already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to get rid of one of them. 2, 3, 5, 6. Yeah. So that's a limitation I'm going to work with. I'm going to make it a self-imposed limitation that I need to make a choice. All right. I think the face and the bodies are non-negotiable. I think they gotta have a face and a body. But any of these other 3 can go. I'm actually very okay with eyes going. Eyes are actually very, very weird, and they can add a lot of complication. Yeah, I might be okay with the eyes going. Cool. This is where we'll put a stop to this stream. I think we have some headway. We spent a lot of time, like looking around and figuring things out. But we have a Figma page. We have a basic of what our thing. I'm gonna make the decision. Eyes are out. We're gonna make a PFP without eyes. So we have made that decision. We're gonna go with this sort of attribute based PFPs. I do have some ideas for a generative art, but I will do that in the next session now. So yeah, this is where we'll stop today's stream. So we have some progress, but yeah, it's still a long way to go. But yeah, we'll get there one step at a time. And if you have any ideas on what you think I should explore in the whole NFT space, if there's something specific you guys think would be interesting for me to do let me know. Please leave your comments. I would really, really appreciate it. And until then, I wish you guys a good week ahead. Stay safe and have a good one. Bye.